There is a moment just before dawn where the world holds its breath, a fragile silence that stretches across a lake so still it mirrors the pale sky. The air is cool, untouched by the rush of day, and all that exists is the quiet presence of a solitary figure seated on a weathered bench by the water's edge. No words are spoken. No thoughts demand attention. It is as if time itself has folded inward, inviting a gentle collapse of noise and emotion. In this quiet, stillness is not emptiness. It pulses with subtle life, a tender reservoir beneath the surface of feeling. Here, paradox thrives. In holding nothing, everything is held. The art of emotional minimalism whispers in this space, a soft song about how less can be more, about how stillness can reveal the deepest currents within our hearts. What does it mean to find peace not by adding, but by peeling away? How do we become whole by embracing the simple, the quiet, the few? And can the silence of our inner world become a place where emotion breathes freely, no longer tangled in chaos? Emotional minimalism is a quiet revolution against the overwhelming noise of our inner lives. At first glance, it seems like a paradox. How can reducing emotion, stepping back from our feelings, lead to richer emotional experiences? We are wired to seek out, to express, to feel deeply. Yet, when emotions pile up unchecked, they can blur into a chaotic storm, drowning the clarity of our inner voice. Emotional minimalism isn't about avoidance or numbness. Rather, it's the intentional act of stillness and selection, a deliberate pruning that reveals the essence beneath. This idea echoes deeply with mindfulness, the psychological practice of observing thoughts and feelings without getting entangled in them. Mindfulness teaches us to witness the flow of emotion, to recognize transient waves without surrendering to every surge. Within this practice lies a profound truth. Peace doesn't arise from silencing all feeling, but from changing our relationship to it. Philosophically, this echoes Buddhist concepts of non-attachment, the invitation to let go of craving and resistance, to meet experience as it is, without clinging to identity or narrative. Carl Jung's insights into individuation add another layer, suggesting the journey to self-realization often requires confronting the shadow, the complex, sometimes uncomfortable parts of ourselves. Emotional minimalism then becomes not about rejecting the shadow, but allowing space for all facets of emotion to coexist quietly, rather than screaming for attention. In this stillness, we enter the paradoxical space where less feeling does not mean less depth, but a fuller, clearer emotional presence. It shifts the frame from emotional abundance to emotional clarity, from quantity to quality. To understand emotional minimalism deeply, we must start by unraveling the nature of our emotional landscape. Psychologists speak of emotional regulation, the process by which we influence the intensity and expression of our feelings. Poor regulation often leads to overwhelm, impulsivity, and fragmentation. Yet the ideal is not to suppress emotion, but to cultivate a gentle mastery that allows space and time for feelings to move naturally. Emotional minimalism invites a form of self-regulation that refrains from excess and embraces simplicity. One principle here is the concept of emotional granularity, the ability to distinguish among nuanced emotions rather than lumping them into amorphous states of anxiety or sadness. When emotional granularity increases, people experience a greater capacity for managing emotions, resulting in less reactivity and confusion. This precision allows us to let go of what does not serve us, a form of emotional decluttering. Mindfulness brings a non-judgmental gaze to each passing sensation, each subtle shift in mood. We learn to watch emotions like clouds drifting across a vast, quiet sky, rather than storms threatening devastation. This perspective fosters an essential separation between self and feeling, enabling minimalism to root itself in presence rather than avoidance. Another psychological dimension is the role of attachment. Our emotional chaos often springs from unmet attachment needs or from clinging desperately to identities and narratives. Emotional minimalism does not discard these parts, but gently loosens their grip, shifting from reactive attachment to conscious presence. In Buddhist psychology, this is akin to letting go, or non-attachment, removing the chains of emotional demand, which paradoxically deepens our connection to life. The cinematic image of the solitary figure by the still lake embodies this principle, a scene of calm where the outside world and inner life reflect one another with perfect harmony. Yet, within this harmony lies complexity. The minimalism of emotion is not a blank slate, but a rich canvas stripped of excess pigments to reveal deeper colors. The stillness, far from passivity, requires courage and trust. The individual must resist the pull of distraction, the temptation to react impulsively, and the fear of feeling too little or becoming numb. Emotional minimalism is a delicate balance. It honors the fullness of human feeling while steering clear of overwhelm. Over time, it transforms the emotional landscape into a place where silence speaks, where absence allows presence, and where stillness becomes a living, breathing container for the self. When embracing stillness, we encounter a paradox of the heart. That emotional minimalism is not about shutting down, but about opening up in a quieter, more selective way. The sensation can be unsettling at first. The mind, accustomed to constant motion and noise, resists the emptiness. Old habits urge us to amplify feelings, to drown silence with chatter or distraction. Yet, if we stay with the quiet, a new kind of listening emerges, an intimacy with our own depths. Within stillness, we begin to hear the subtle stirrings of longing, grief, and joy, not as threats, but as visitors passing through a tranquil room. The art lies in holding these feelings without urgency, without the need to fix or escape. This shift invites healing, allowing fragmented parts to come together with gentle acceptance. Our emotions no longer demand chaos as proof of life. Instead, they pulse softly, like the heartbeat beneath still water. It is in this place that the self finds room to breathe freely. The loneliness that sometimes accompanies stillness reveals itself not as abandonment, but as a form of soulful spaciousness. It is a pause that refreshes rather than isolates. The emotional landscape becomes less cluttered, more lucid. We recognize that true emotional richness isn't measured by the volume or complexity of feeling, but by the depth of connection to ourselves and the clarity of presence. This acceptance grants a bittersweet relief, a quiet strength that is not loud or forceful, but steady and enduring. To dwell here is to move beyond fear of silence and scarcity to a deeper embrace of what it means to be human. Vulnerable, yet resilient. Minimal, yet profound. Stillness reveals an ancient truth. Presence, not perfection, cradles the heart. Emotional minimalism invites us to shed the weight of excess feeling, not by erasing emotion, but by distilling it to its purest form. It wasn't about suppression. It was about seeing with clear eyes. A quiet surrender that allows space for what truly matters. The paradox remains that in letting go of emotional clutter, we hold more laterally, more deeply, more whole. The solitary figure by the lake does not seek to fill the silence, but to befriend it. In this friendship, there is no emptiness, only an expanded horizon where feeling and stillness coexist without conflict. This gentle rhythm, this dance of less and more, teaches us that emotional minimalism is not escaping life's complexity, but embracing it with a clearer heart and calmer mind. It wasn't about perfection. It was about presence. It wasn't about absence. It was about simplicity. It wasn't about shutting down. It was about opening up. And in this opening, the art of stillness becomes a way to find home within ourselves, a quiet sanctuary where the deepest emotions can finally breathe freely.